While some of our favorite celebs might be great people as well, there are times when fame and money get to everyone's heads. In fact, sometimes celebrities are so hard to deal with on set, even the team gets tired of them and they get kicked off. In today's video, we're looking at the top 10 times celebs threw diva fits and got themselves fired from their own sets. First off, let's talk about Charlie Sheen. Sheen had the peak of his career when he was starring in 2.5 Men on CBS. The sitcom was huge, and as the lead role, he was definitely raking it in. Plus, he got a huge fan following. But that kind of fame can go down the drain really quick, and it happened in the worst way for the actor. For someone who was the highest paid actor on TV at the time, he had a ton of problems behind the scenes. The actor was struggling with drug and alcohol abuse, but the worst was that he'd started to make comments about the show's creator, Chuck Lorre. The remarks weren't just rude, they were anti-Semitic, and Lorre had finally had enough of the man. He got Warner Brothers to end his contract and replaced him in season 9 of the show with Ashton Kutcher. But it didn't stop there. Sheen went on to make even worse remarks about the team and his old co-stars, saying he was happy to have been fired.
All these radio rants have people thinking Charlie Sheen has got to be on drugs again.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen.
In the end, it did work out for him, since he ended up starring in Anger Management and making even more money. If that's not ironic, we don't know what is. Now, let's move to Valerie. This star needs no introduction. After all, the show is literally her name. Valerie Harper starred as the title character of the show, and somehow, she still managed to get herself fired from it. Back in the 70s, Valerie made a name for herself playing Rhonda on The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Her character was so popular that she got her own spin-off, and finally, she made it to her own show. The show didn't do amazing in the ratings when it debuted in the mid-80s, but it looked like it was good enough for her. Harper tried to renegotiate her contract, and according to the execs at the network, she was asking for way too much money. The network already had a replacement lined up for her, and suddenly, she was written out of her own show. But like most things with famous actors, it ended well for her, since she won a lawsuit and $2 million against the network. Next up, we've got Nicolette Sheridan. The show Desperate Housewives was built around drama, but one actress was taking too much of it off camera. Sheridan was fired from the show because of her unprofessional behavior, but we all know what that means. Her character, Edie, got killed off in the show, and that meant her contract was ended too. Between seasons 5 and 6, the creator, Mark Cherry, made a creative decision to write her character off the show, and he said that was the main reason she was gone. But Sheridan didn't take the decision too well, and when she went to court for it, Cherry also revealed that her behavior on set had always been terrible, and it looks like the show was better off without her. In this case, things didn't end too great, since the actress was out of a job, and it took her a long time to find any more work. Coming up, we've got an extra bad one. Roseanne Barr is another actress who had a show where she was the title character, which was also a huge part of pop culture. Roseanne was a beloved show for a lot of people, and everyone was happy to hear the show was getting its own revival a few years ago. But it just wasn't meant to be, because everyone found out what kind of person the actress was right before the show's second season started production. The actress made blatantly racist comments about a woman working for the Obama administration, going so far as to compare her to an ape. That was a quick cutoff, and the show came back as The Connors, which was just Roseanne without, well, Roseanne. In fact, even apart from the show, her own agency dropped her right away, which seemed well-deserved for what she did.
So I went to bed, and I woke up at 2:11 and tweeted that tweet, and then I went back to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, it was all over the news, and I was like, uh-oh. And it was characterized as racist, which just made my stomach fall to my feet.
Next, we've got another big racism case. It's rare that anyone thanks their network for their time after they got fired, but that's exactly what Paula Deen did. The celebrity chef had been around for over a decade on the Food Network, but all that ended when she admitted to having used a racial slur in the past. In fact, she even said she wanted her black employees to act as slaves, which she tried to cover up with some explanation about the Civil War. She also sympathized with her ancestors who were slave owners, calling African Americans workers. Naturally, the Food Network ended her contract right away, and even after that, it came out that there was plenty of racist stuff happening behind the scenes at her restaurants as well. Now, let's move on to an extra famous one. At this point, everyone's heard of this one. Alec Baldwin's had a rocky history with things happening on set, one of them being the gun incident recently. But even apart from that, he's had some shady stuff happen on the sets of his projects. The most famous is actually off set, when a photographer showed up outside his apartment in Manhattan. He actually got so mad that he chased the guy down the street, calling him some crazy, problematic, anti-gay slurs. Immediately, MSNBC canceled his show Up Late with Alec Baldwin for 2 weeks. Only after that did he care to make a statement defending himself. Lots of people refused to accept his apology, which makes complete sense, considering how he'd already been hesitant about supporting gay rights. Activist organization GLAAD also published a statement calling him out, and he replied by apologizing on Twitter. But that got even more messed up when a video of him admitting to homophobia dropped as well.
On Thursday, Baldwin caused an uproar by allegedly using an anti-gay slur against a photographer.
Come on!
Up next, here's why this character got killed off. This whole situation was a little less than McDreamy, so you already know whom we're going to talk about. Patrick Dempsey's character was killed off of Grey's Anatomy pretty unexpectedly, and it all came down to his behavior on set. Shonda Rhimes, who created the show, keeps everyone in check really well, and when things go wrong, she's quick to cut people out of her shows. Patrick Dempsey was reported to have cheated on his wife with a production assistant on set, and even beyond that, when he was supposed to come back for a revival, he was making things hard for everyone else on set. It was apparently an HR nightmare, and it was affecting the rest of the cast a lot. Ellen Pompeo, the star of the show, also complained about his work attitude. He might have been one of the most loved characters on the show, but it made complete sense to end his arc when it did.
There was a lot written that you'd become a diva on set.
Right, I can understand why people would say that. I mean, it's interesting. I think you can never really judge an actor on set because depending on the dynamic of the scene, you are asked to plug into an emotion.
Moving on, we're going to talk about Maggie Roswell. This one's a bit different, since Roswell was only a voice actor. She played Maude Flanders on The Simpsons and was getting paid around $2,000 per episode. But that wasn't enough for her, since she complained about having to come to LA from Denver every time she was needed for an episode. She asked for an insane raise, needing over $6,000 per episode. When it came to that, the show just decided to write her character off, since it was better than paying her the crazy amount she was asking for. Next, we've got Shannon Doherty. Shannon Doherty had already had a pretty big career before she got to work on Charmed. She had been starring on Beverly Hills 90210, and it looked like she was bringing the fame along with her and letting it get to her head. Apparently, her attitude on set got so bad that she ended up wrapped up in a huge fight with her co-star Alyssa Milano. They were fighting non-stop on set, and it was a pain for everyone else involved in the show, especially since it was rarely Alyssa's fault. In the end, her character Prue got killed off, which seemed like the best solution. In an interview later on, she even opened up about how everyone on set had always been terrible to her. And lastly, we've got Misha Barton. The OC was a part of many, many childhoods, and Marissa Cooper was a fan favorite character on the show. So when her character randomly ended up getting killed off, fans were not really happy to hear about it. But when you look at what was happening behind the scenes, her getting written out of the show makes a lot more sense. Back in the day, every actress and model was partying hard, but Barton took it a few steps further. Her party girl attitude translated terribly into the workplace, and she was ruining the work atmosphere. Her attitude was called bratty, and it ended in Marissa's death. Later on, the actress admitted to her bad behavior and said she was trying to make amends with the rest of the cast. That's a wrap for this video. Did you know any of these stories? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.